Action stations.
Greetings, folks. Anil Horm here with a World of Warships replay. Today we are featuring Mudslinger 5050 in the Tier 10 U.S. Navy Heavy Cruiser, the USS Des Moines, and he is divisioned with R. Schaefer in the Tier 10 Soviet destroyer, the Grozovoi. Mudslinger is in a domination match on Atlantic. The team rosters are very heavy with Tier 10 ships, with only a few non-Tier 10 ships on each side, and there is no aircraft carrier. Mudslinger is using Halsey on his Des Moines, and he is leveraging the legendary or unique upgrade, as well as both buff skills for the Halsey commander. And in this particular match, Mudslinger is really going to push his limit on aggressive play in the face of basically what should be an assured win. So on that point, I'm going to skip ahead to about halfway through the match. For the first half, Mudslinger plays his ship in sort of a classic Des Moines fashion. He's going to camp an island. He's going to spam a lot of HE and AP at broadside ships, and he's going to radar when he needs to. And we're going to pick things up when things start getting a little more interesting. So the tactical situation at this point, and we're about 10 minutes into the match, is that until very recently, the Allied team actually had control of all three caps, including Charlie, and only now is the opposing Hindenburg taking the Charlie cap for his team. The Allied team has just lost its North Carolina, but we still have an almost 300-point advantage, and still have a ship advantage. In fact, we're about to get a second ship advantage here with the opposing gearing about to be sunk by the Haragumo. And so the focus at this point should be to defend Bravo and Alpha. And Bravo is going to be where the ships are going to converge here, the two teams. The Allied Yamato, which was defending Bravo, has now also been sunk. And so at this point, in my view, Mudslinger should be stopping here while he is in some concealment. Wait for his allies that are coming up from Alpha to get here so that he doesn't become the focus of basically the entirety of the opposing team, or at least the majority of them. The biggest threat is going to be the Yamato. The opposing Montana is technically, or at least Mudslinger is within the Montana's range, although hitting a ship at that range often can be very difficult if it's maneuvering well, which Mudslinger is definitely going to be doing here. But he's now exposed himself to the opposing ships here that are at Bravo. You can see the priority target count is now 4. And so he needs to turn away here. He's going to get some cap resets, but one of the things that we're going to notice is that the efficacy of these cap resets is going to decline. And so that means that there is another opposing ship, which is the Haragumo, which is in Bravo, to take that cap. Now, here comes the salvo from the Yamato. Obviously, the Yamato, with its 460 millimeter rounds, is going to be able to pen pretty much any angle that Mudslinger presents to him, other than maybe his side belt at a strong angle. And here comes another salvo from the Montana, which he's able to avoid entirely. But again, he's got to be very careful here because he's essentially in a crossfire between these two Tier 10 battleships, although the Yamato has a much better, is much closer, and therefore it would be a lot easier for him to hit. Although it looks like now the Yamato is going to be concentrating on the Allied battleships that are coming up from, or have come up from Alpha. Here, Mudslinger takes a very significant salvo from the opposing Montana, and so he needs to be turning away here. What he's going to end up doing here is going to move south to intercept the opposing Atago, which is moving to try to take Alpha, or at least contest Alpha, and arrest the point advance that the Allied team is getting from that cap, which, in my opinion, is the right way to approach this, because they really do need to get these caps to have a chance to win. We have just lost the Allied Haragumo, but the opposing Yamato was sunk. So we've maintained a one-ship advantage. But the Bravo cap was lost, so now we're having to retake it. And here, Mudslinger again is going to be moving south to intercept the Atago. Now, at some point, the Atago, I think with that salvo right there, that earned him Confederate, and you saw the fireworks go off, which improves the reload rate of his main artillery by 20%. The Atago, his engine is now out, and so it's going to be hard for him to get down here to the cap while that happens. The Allied team has now just lost its Yamato, and so we now have an even ship situation, and we're still trying to recapture Bravo. So the opposing team's done a pretty good job here to try to claw this back. Here is the Atago, and you can see he's moving very slowly. And there you can see from his funnels that the indicator that his engine is out. There's going to be some torpedoes coming from right there from the Allied gearing, and the Atago does end up taking one torpedo, and then Mudslinger is able to finish off the Atago. So, and then we've also finished off the Hindenburg, and there was one other ship that we finished off. I think that was the opposing Haragumo. So it's now a 3-on-1 situation. The Allied Seattle is too close to the opposing Montana, so we are going to lose the Seattle. But at this point, the Allied team has 2 caps. There's less than 5 minutes left. The gearing, if he plays it right, can stay in concealment all the time and keep the Montana lit and deny area through torpedo sends. And frankly, Mudslinger doesn't need to engage. Even with the time remaining, it would be frankly impossible for the Montana to come in, take Bravo, avoid taking a lot of torpedoes from the gearing, and then still move down to Alpha and try to cap that as well and try to win this game for the team. There basically just isn't enough time. So for those of you who have watched other replays on this channel, you know my particular opinion and stance on playing conservatively in the face of having leads and being able to just work in more defensive manner. This, in my opinion, is one of those cases. I think it's fine that Mudslinger is able to put on some concealed fire onto the Montana to try to wear him down while the gearing is sending torpedoes. Although the gearing sends both sets of torpedoes here, and at that range that's not very advisable because the Montana clearly knows that he's being lit up by a destroyer, and so he just needs to sort of change his course and directions. And by committing both sets of torpedoes from the gearing, he's now lost an important opportunity for the next 1.5 to 2 minutes, depending on what his ship and commander skills look like, or ship upgrades and commander skills look like. But again, in my opinion, there's no need for Mudslinger to engage here. He can stay in concealment. The gearing will keep the Montana lit up. The Montana is, free to take Bravo if he really wants to, but he has to take that cap, and so stay in the cap and take it before he moves south to try to take Alpha. And again, there just isn't enough time. There's less than 3 minutes now for him to take both caps and secure a win. The Allied team is already over 900 points. The opposing team hasn't reached 600. And there, Mudslinger has taken a bad salvo from the Montana. And even with the Des Moines' very good rate of fire, it isn't clear that he's going to be able to put out enough DPM to finish off the Montana before the Montana gets his next salvo off. Here comes the salvo, and the Montana is able to take down Mudslinger. So now we have a one-on-one situation, but Mudslinger does note in chat here that he does have a permanent fire on the Montana. The Montana did damage control a previous fire, and so this Montana is going to go down. So it is a win, Mudslinger does get top XP for his team, so he does a really good job in terms of playing the Des Moines as he does in the past. In fact, he got Arsonist there and gets other achievements along with it. But he played it right up to the edge. So a very interesting match from Mudslinger. I hope you enjoyed the replay and the commentary. Please do leave your comments below. And as always, we hope to see you out there, and we wish you happy sailing.